Hello, welcome to the 10th day, which seems to be SQL injection. Inject the holes with exec queries. We are the best festival company, and it started receiving some reports that best festival that seems to be displaying some concerning information about the state of Christmas this year. After looking into the matter, the SSOC confirmed that the company website has been hijacked and ultimately defaced. I will use the opportunity to start the machine right away so I don't lose time. After conducting some initial research, Elf Forensic MacBlue came across a forum made on the Black Hat Hacking Internet Forum Jingle Hacks. The post made earlier in the month explained that the poster is auctioning off several active vulnerabilities related to the company websites. The merger, blah, 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 blah. Stakes are high. Potential rewards are even higher. If you got the skills and resource to make use of this information, you are in a serious play today. I won't reveal all the details, but I can confirm that these vulnerabilities are both theory-based and known issues that Best Festival Company hasn't addressed. The treasure includes potential entry points, data access, and even possibility to exposing the classified information to be replied to the thread with offer, blah, blah, blah. Basically, there is definitely issues, and as a result, MacRed's thorough investigation, the team now suspects a possible SQL injection vulnerability. Learning objectives of this lab, the learning uh, to understand and identify the SQL injection vulnerability, exploit stacked queries to turn SQL injection into remote code execution, and help MacRed restore the best festival website and save its reputation. We're loading that thing, and then we have a few reminder of the SQL injection, what does it mean, and so on and so on. Boop, 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 boop. Do I have an attack box somewhere? Starting also the attack box, which I should have like started at the same time, but meh. Okay, while it's like loading, quick reminder, SQL, you are able to, if the parameters are not correctly sanitized, you can actually alter the query that is initially created by the developers and modify what they intended. So if you have a select here with the color and you are able to modify the color, then you can actually inject stuff in it, which means that if we have color being green normally, that's the normal path. But if you inject stuff in it, like that's usually what you do to verify if you have a SQL injection, that thing here is selecting all the color that is empty, or if something is true, which means everything. So that's why you have all the colors pulled out by the query. So that's interesting here. The or one equal one is also super risky because it's basically remove the filtering, and so if the query you injecting it is not just a select and has like some side effects like update or delete, you would be modifying a lot of rows where initially it was supposed to like delete that specific ID, for example, then you would be deleting the whole that table or so on. So the idea behind or one equal one is when you know what you're doing, or at least you know you kind of have an idea of what is the query behind. One that is like less risky is using the end version of it and modifying the boolean behind. So 1 = 1 is true, which means the query will actually go through. But if you do 1 = 2, the query itself will not be going through because there will be a false. So there will be the query itself will not be done correctly. So this demonstrates a SQL injection, but it doesn't like create side effects. Stacked queries is also interesting part because since you can inject stuff, you could also inject a semicolon and make the query actually multiple queries run one after the other. So if I have a select initially, I could just say do the select, but then do the insert. It has the side effect to not necessarily make the result working in the page, but the query will actually be executed, and therefore if you have an insert, you will have the new entry there. And now we could actually go on our mission. The attack box has been started, so from here visit that IP, which seems to be anyway the correct one. Browser. Where's Grumpy Company? Okay, yeah, it's definitely have been defaced. Meet the evil elves. Okay, so you should see blah blah blah. Navigating the website as a end user to understand the functionality, offering a great place to start. This manual enumeration allows us to identify the areas, blah blah blah. What do we have? We have meet the elves. Okay, that's the one page kind of stuff. GIF search, which seems promising because we would then have queries. Yeah, we have like inputs here that we can modify. So if I change that here, so we have child, interest, toys, interest, crafts, budget 0, budget 50, age, child, crafts. Yeah, so we have stuff here. One quick way to check stuff is inserting a single quote. And here we have interesting stuff. We have database query error, array 42,000 SQL state, and we have Microsoft SQL Server, so we know that it's a SQL Server. And close quotation mark after the character string, blah 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 blah. So it's interesting here because we now know that it's a SQL Server database that is behind. So what else can we do? Okay, so let's see let's see which one is actually making, we'll say age. Okay, age seems to be impacted, so let's try or 1 = 1 equal equal equal. Okay, so I am able to inject something here because I have the list of everything there, which is cool. So if I go back to the title, I see that it's called exec, and if Yeah, exact query. So obviously in the quick intro we saw stacked queries. So ideally that should mean that we should be able to like have something like select star, or let's just do one. Yeah, I don't know the table name, so it's kind of going to be hard to replace that thing here. So we might just go for um, the exact thing. However, we would then have access to the stored procedure and execute some shell, but we wouldn't be able to see the results. So we would need to have a way for us to identify that we actually got something running. Okay, so I'm going to be lazy and I will actually use SQL map. So SQL map is a super tool that allows us to make SQL injection check way faster and better. We are, in our case, I know we are in a SQL Server context, and the SQL injection pretty simple. So if I go for SQL map, I took the URL I had. I will simplify the H because it's smart enough to find it itself. And I will just run it this way to see what's happening. And so I will run it this way. Looks like the backend DBMS is Microsoft SQL Server. Do you want to skip the payload specific to others? Yes, I want. Yes, I want. Although we already know that we have the where closed because we were able to do the or, and we have the probably the stacked queries too. Yes, that is. So that's definitely the two angles that could be leveraged. Testing the others, no need. We have our entry point. If we go for SQL map dash dash help, interesting part is the operating system access. We know that is vulnerable, and so therefore what I will do is like basically prompt for shell. We could use spoon, but usually it's kind of like cumbersome because sometimes it doesn't really work as is. So if I go for open tab and CLVNP 4444, so I'm creating a listener. I'll then OS shell, oops, and because I will say yes to everything, I will batch it. So here, the SQL map tool will actually try to do everything for us. And so it's going to check the XP CMD shell stored procedure thing, activate it if it's not the case. We can see here that the XP CMD shell is available now and it's usable. It's very important, blah blah blah. And we seem to have a shell. So if I go for who am I or something that doesn't make yeah, who am I? Who am I? It's going to do the queries and stuff. The in the meantime, uh, we know we are on Windows, so that's the IP of my attacks box, the port I'm listening into. And so I am generating a reverse shell command from PowerShell to get to my box. And so while it's waiting, and I will probably pause the video for that, and then I will call the shell directly. Okay, so we can see that we are NT service MSQL SQL Express, which probably is administrator level. So I have in my clipboard the PowerShell entry. If I type enter and look into my listener, I have a reverse shell and I don't have to wait for everything now. So it's pretty neat because now I have RCE. And so where am I? You know what? We'll just like look at what are the questions we are requested to ask. So navigate to the face, blah blah blah. First web page you came across contain a gift vending feature. That's the that's the gift result PHP. Oops. Oh, oh, gift search. Perfect. So my bad. Yes. Analyze the SQL error message that is returned what ODBC driver we have. So if I go for search and then trigger ODBC driver 17 SQL Server. Yay. Inject the 1-1 condition in a gift search form. What is the last result? So here I will use or 1 equal 1. And I have the flag. Wet flag is in the node file greet stir left behind on the system. So now we could actually go look into our terminal version. So we need to find a file named, so let's do first cd administrator. CTF like stuff are usually there. Dear, we have desktop documents downloads. Let's look into desktop first. Okay, wait. Cd dot dot dear documents. I don't have dear downloads. Nothing in downloads. CD desktop, which seems to have everything. CD1 dear type note.text. After you gain access to the server, you can deface the website by running the deface website script in blah blah blah. Feel free to dump the database and steal whatever you want. If you need to revert the changes back to the original site for any reason, just run restore but from the same directory. Also, I shouldn't need to mention this, but please delete this note file after defacing the website. Do not let this hack tie back to me. Gridster THM blah. Okay, so if I copy that thing, put that here. Yes. What is the flag you received on the home page after restoring the website? So I guess it's just a matter now to dear restore website.bat. Dun 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 dun. The term restore, okay, of course, doesn't know it because we're in PowerShell. So I need to either, oops, okay, please refresh the home, blah, 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 blah. And so that means if I go here, refresh, go back to home, yay! And there we go. Thanks for looking at that SQL injection check. We did it the lazy way. I apologize for that, but yeah, it's definitely sometimes you, given how simple that SQL injection was, leveraging the tools you have is also a way to handle different things. So take care and see you the next day. Bye bye.